Marking the second annual National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
There's still a lot of people that aren't aware of the history.
Before we can actually achieve reconciliation, we need people to understand what the truth is.
Reflecting on the past and honoring all the lives lost at residential schools, how those in the GTA marked the day, and what survivors say is needed to move forward in healing. Plus,
I was relieved because I felt bad.
Friends and neighbors of a Vaughan man originally charged with the murder of his wife are calling for an apology after the charges were dropped and another suspect arrested. And roads are still closed and Peel police remain on scene near Credit Valley Hospital in Mississauga hours after a person barricaded themselves inside a building. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. It's National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, a day to remember children who went to residential schools, both survivors and those who didn't make it home. One of the many events to mark the day here in the GTA was called Honoring Our Children. Lorenda Redekop was there.
Seeing the leaves beginning to change is a trip back to her childhood for Vivian Timmons and her time at residential school.
For myself, I was 4 years old, and so I couldn't tell the time, day, or the month.
But if she was allowed to return home to Northern Ontario over the summer, the fall leaves just beginning to turn were a painful reminder.
I knew it was time for us to go back. The time for us to go back to the residential school was coming. Fall will never be the same for a lot of people, I think.
Now the leaves remind her of other survivors and those who never made it home. She shared some of her story with people here today.
You see things, you hear things, and things are done to you that shouldn't have been done. But I'd like to say that I'd like to see some like that accountability from take responsibility.
She says at one point she didn't see her mother for 2 years.
I've often been approached and people say, "I'm so sorry," you know. Yeah, okay, it's I accept your apology, but I'm tired of hearing that, you know.
She wants people to continue learning and listening. A teepee set up in Hillcrest Park is an invitation for people to come in and experience Indigenous culture. Or they could design their own orange T-shirts. Orange Shirt Day, a reminder of a young girl who went to residential school in a shiny orange shirt that the staff took from her.
What I've heard a lot of people say is, before we can actually achieve reconciliation, we need people to understand what the truth is.
That's what one of the organizers hopes this event will help do. He's the grandchild of a residential school survivor.
We're still here. We're strong people. I'm very proud to say that a lot of the unjust policies and laws that the federal government had to try to eradicate Indigenous culture failed miserably.
He's also the son of someone removed from their Indigenous culture through adoption, another government policy.
I can still speak some of the Ojibwe language. I can still sing and drum. And there's lots of people that are learning our cultural ways, and they'll be here for a long time to come.
For him, it was important to have this sacred fire, to sit around and talk on a day that can bring up painful memories.
It's a safe place for people to come and be able to let go if they need to.
Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Truth and reconciliation begins with learning, and at the Toronto District School Board, that now starts at a young age.
The starting point shouldn't really be from trauma. I think it's as important to talk about Indigenous excellency as it's important to talk about this difficult topic. So we start off with that and keep it in balance, and my main goal right now is to keep it age appropriate.
I'm going to share Phyllis's story. She was a little girl. She was the same as us, but kind of different because she had to go to residential schools. Nothing mattered. But today, everything matters about children.
Mata is teaching her students select words in the Anishinaabe-Moan language. She's taken a course in the language at Trent University from Elder Shirley Williams. As part of Orange Shirt Day, the class recited a land acknowledgement and talked about the significance of the day. York Regional Police have laid new charges in a murder investigation. A 64-year-old woman was stabbed in her home last Friday and the house set on fire. The woman's husband was originally charged, but those charges have since been withdrawn and another person arrested. As Greg Ross tells us, family and friends are now calling for justice for the husband.
43-year-old Ahmed Asgarzada was arrested yesterday and charged with first-degree murder and arson. York police believe that he is responsible for the death of 64-year-old Nahid Asgaryar, who was found dead here in her home. Emergency crews were called to this house near Park Tree Drive and Lucina Crescent just before 8 o'clock last Friday after reports of a fire. Asgaryar was first believed to have died as a result of the fire, but it was later determined that she died of stab wounds. I talked to Asgaryar's family members today who tell me that the suspect is a distant relative, and they say he didn't live here at the home and they're not sure why he was here last Friday. Originally, police charged Asgaryar's 71-year-old husband, Mohammed Asgaryar, for her death, but those charges have since been withdrawn. That came as a big relief to one neighbor that I spoke with today.
For me, they were good neighbors. It was shocked for me to hear that he stabbed the wife because I could not believe it.
And now it turns out it looks like
we were right.
Family members of Mohammed Asgaryar tell me that he was held in custody for several days and had very little contact with his family. As a result, they tell me that he missed his wife's funeral and did not get an opportunity to say a proper goodbye. Family and friends have left these signs in front of the home, asking for justice for the Asgaryars. And the family says they are demanding a formal apology from York Regional Police. Greg Ross, CBC News, Vaughan.
Nick Cernkovich joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Nick, a beautiful sunny fall day to end the work week.
Yeah, it certainly was, Calda. Of course, we've been dealing with quite a bit of rainfall in the GTA over the last week or so. Finally seeing some sunshine and temperatures spot on seasonal. In fact, 17 degrees is the seasonal norm for this time of year for the city of Toronto. There's a look at afternoon highs through the day today. Now, with that in mind, there are some frost advisories in effect, but those are north of the GTA up around Cottage Country. A little bit of high cloud cover just starting to push in. This is actually the remnants of what was Hurricane Ian, but we're under high pressure here, and that means that generally it's going to stay clear, or rather dry, over the next few days. Some cloud cover into tomorrow morning and through the afternoon as well, but you'll notice the rainfall stays well to the south of us right through the weekend. In fact, Sunday starts to clear out, and we've got sunshine in the forecast for Sunday. Tonight, 8 degrees. Tomorrow, 18 degrees. So again, pretty much right on seasonal. A little bit of cloud cover in play for tomorrow, and then it clears out. We'll tell you what to expect in the long-range forecast. That's coming up in just a bit. Calda.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Nick. Numerous roads in Mississauga remain closed tonight, with Peel police officers and crisis negotiators still on scene near Credit Valley Hospital, hours after reports of a person barricading themselves inside a building. Tyler Cheese has the latest on the situation.
Peel Regional Police say a person has barricaded themselves inside this building you can see just behind me. They say they first responded to a report of an armed individual in the building around 7:30 this morning. Since then, there's been a large police presence here and outside Credit Valley Hospital, which is a few buildings down the street. We haven't had many updates from police in the last few hours. No motive has been mentioned, but crisis negotiators are on scene, trying to get this person out of the building. The police tweeted earlier today that they are in contact with that person and that they are alone. No injuries have been reported at this time, and police say it is an isolated incident. The public has been asked to stay clear of the area since this morning. Police have closed a number of nearby roads, including Credit Valley Road from Eglinton Avenue to Metcalfe Street. Erin Mills Parkway also remains closed north and south of the intersection at Eglinton. This has caused some traffic congestion in the area. The hospital has also implemented measures for the safety of staff, patients, and visitors. The surface parking lot at the hospital is currently closed off, but vehicles inside the parking garage can leave. No new vehicles are allowed to enter. However, the emergency department at the hospital is operating as normal, and ambulances are not being rerouted. Peel Police were not able to provide CBC with any update, but say the situation is ongoing. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
OPP officers are searching for a suspect after a fatal crash early this morning. It happened on Highway 400 near Rutherford Road. A 73-year-old woman was pronounced dead at the scene, and 3 others were taken to hospital with minor injuries.
Driver of that red VW that fled the scene is described as male, black, between 35 and 40 years old, wearing blue jeans and carrying a reusable shopping bag. He was last seen leaving the scene by witnesses.
Police say the driver of the Volkswagen left on foot. The southbound lanes of the highway were closed throughout the morning rush hour for the investigation. Police are encouraging the suspect to contact a lawyer and turn themselves in. We're hearing reaction from people in Scarborough Centre today after it was revealed that City Councillor and former Deputy Mayor Michael Thompson is facing sexual assault charges. Thompson has resigned as Deputy Mayor and from his other positions at City Hall, but the deadline to withdraw candidacy for the upcoming municipal election has passed, so Thompson will remain on the ballot.
He's innocent until found guilty, and it doesn't matter what they say right now, it may not be true. And if I have to vote, I'll definitely vote for him.
I haven't yet decided whom I'm going to vote for, but yeah, that doesn't sound too good to me.
The OPP today confirmed that members of the Muskoka Crime Unit received information earlier this month alleging sexual assault that had taken place in a private residence in Muskoka. Now, as a result, Thompson was charged with 2 counts of sexual assault yesterday. Those charges have not been tested in court, and Thompson denies the allegations. Now, meanwhile, lawyer Calvin Barry, who released a statement on behalf of Thompson yesterday, is no longer representing him. Barry tells CBC Toronto that the alleged assault took place on his Muskoka property in July. He says his firm tries not to act for close friends. And welcome back. Toronto's Young People's Theatre, Canada's oldest professional theatre for young audiences, is kicking off a new season next week with a brand new play by its first ever Indigenous artistic director. Now, ahead of that, the theatre just unveiled a $13.5 million expansion that's been more than 10 years in the making. I went out to check out the new space. So this is very exciting. It's been a decade in the making, right? These renovations. Tell me about them.
We have been bursting at the seams for so long now, and we've looked at so many different kinds of options to give ourselves more space. Well, what's new here is fully accessible lobbies. Now we have, elevators, we have universal washrooms on every floor, we have a lobby that's doubled in size. It's totally opened up.
How does it feel to be in this new space?
Phenomenal. To be able to be in this building, a building that I remember coming here as a student.
Herbie Barnes first came to Young People's Theatre as a young audience member decades ago. Now he's making history as the theatre's first ever Indigenous artistic director. This will be his first full year in the role. Do you have a favorite area of this space?
Yeah. Oh, it's real simple. So upstairs is the rotunda, and then we have the Anishinaabe constellations up in the sky that a friend of mine painted, Jay Sewell, painted that space.
The new mural is called Celestial Creations. The plan is to make this space a sitting area and add screens to allow people to watch the play happening on stage.
Imagine a nursing mother who, baby's crying and still wants to watch a show, can sit in that space, or a child who just can't sit. They can come into that space, sit underneath the stars, and watch the shows that are on our stage.
One of those shows will be Bent Boy, a play written by Barnes, which opens next Thursday, launching the new season. It takes place in an Indigenous village. An elder has to send somebody to recover a treasure. And while everyone thinks she will send her strapping grandson, she chooses an outcast called Bent Boy instead.
His spine is curved like the river, and so he walks awkwardly and doesn't fit into the village. I went thinking about my community, and then how we treat our outsiders. So Bent Boy came out of that.
And for the first time in 45 years since the theatre first opened, there will be a whole new lighting system in place.
I've been joking that the lighting system that we were using was one step above lighting a candle.
It was so old that apparently there was only one person in Canada who could fix it when it broke.
That won't be a problem anymore. Also no longer a problem, not having enough space to run the theatre's drama school for young students.
What we did was we purchased a building across the street, which is 3 floors that will house our educational spaces, our studios, a full-size rehearsal hall, a new costume shop. So we have a new building, a new artistic director. It's kind of a new era for young people's theater.
For Barnes, the most exciting thing after 2 years of COVID restrictions is finally having a live audience again.
The big thing is having those faces in the seats here. I love the buzz that happens with an audience like that.
And you are looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline. It was mostly clear this evening and a bit warmer than in the past couple of nights. Currently, it is 13 degrees downtown. Let's go back to Nick now with a look at how the weekend is shaping up. And Nick, the next couple of days looking pretty good.
Yeah, they certainly are, Calda. In fact, even the long-range forecast, lots of sunshine in place here for the GTA, which is a nice change from some of the weather we've seen recently. Now, again, we mentioned this earlier on, but what was Hurricane Ian not impacting the GTA, and I'll show you why in just a moment here. Single-digit overnight temperatures, a little bit on the chilly side, but still right around seasonal, and mostly sunny skies ahead. Here's a look at the big picture. So this is what's going on. Now, this is what was Hurricane Ian making landfall today down around the Carolinas. We've got high pressure in place across the GTA. And what you'll notice here is actually the jet stream kind of cuts right through what's left of Ian, sort of breaks it apart. High pressure remains in place for the GTA. Save for a little bit of cloud cover here. Generally, it's going to stay sunny for the most part as we move through the next few days, right along sort of the shorelines of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Still looking at some cloud cover as we move through tomorrow afternoon, but the rain, importantly, stays to the south. And in fact, as we move through Sunday, sky cover clears out once more, and that sunshine sticks around right into the long-range forecast. For tonight, a little bit of high cloud cover in place across southwestern Ontario. Temperatures at or around the seasonal mark there. Now, some of this cloud cover will actually help to insulate temperatures across the region, and that means we're not seeing them dip down close to that 0 mark. So that's a good thing if you've still hung on to some of your plants outdoors. Same story for the Golden Horseshoe there as temperatures sit around 6, 7, 8 degrees with some high cloud cover in place. And that's actually going to continue as we move through tomorrow as well. So tomorrow, I think we'll sort of see on and off sunshine. I mean, this isn't that thick cloud cover. It's also not bringing with it some rainfall, but it'll be just sort of this high stuff that'll be pushing in from the south. It does clear out, though, by Sunday. A little breezy on Sunday with wind gusts up to about 40 kilometers per hour. Monday, same story, and lots in the way of sunshine carrying us through right until mid next week. Calda.
I like the sound of that. Thanks so much, Nick. We are less than a day away from Nuit Blanche. The all-night celebration of contemporary art kicks off tomorrow at sunset with installations across the GTA, from Etobicoke to Scarborough, from downtown to North York. Tally Ricci got a preview of what organizers say will be the biggest Nuit Blanche yet.
And tell me a bit about what people can expect this year and what the theme is.
The theme is the space between us, and so the idea of our connection to space and place. So thinking a lot about our stories. So what binds us, what connects us, what also makes us distinctively different. And it's going to be really amazing in terms of we are fully citywide. We have over 150 artists and over 170 projects. So it's the biggest Nuit we've ever done.
Are you able to describe visually some of the exhibits that you're most excited about?
Oh my God, everybody asks me to do this. It's so hard, I don't want to play favorites. I'm excited for each section. So we're in Scarborough. Vaishevni is the work behind us right now, and her work's really incredible. She's an emerging artist based in Scarborough. She does really incredible thread-based sculpture, which you can see. And she's really interested in this relationship to her diasporic community and how that and what that means for her to come here as a newcomer, and what that relationship as she develops as an artist. There's also this big, beautiful work here called Tailings Pond, which is by Thema, who's an artist, a Teltan artist from the West Coast. And she's got this huge pool, and it looks like it's a large-scale pool, and it looks like you want to jump in it, but it's an actual tailings pond, and she's thinking about resource and mining, extraction, and so that's a really exciting project. Downtown, we have what's called Light Teepee. That's Cheryl Larondel. That will be one of the signature works at Nathan Phillips Square, and it's going to light the sky up and mark that as an Indigenous space. We have an Indigenous skateboard fish weir plaza at Yonge and Dundas Square. We have full screen domination at Yonge and Dundas Square as well. And we've closed Yonge Street all the way from the square to Queens Quay, where you'll end up and see this stunning water screen projection of Manamoana on Lake Ontario. There's some really great work in Etobicoke. It's got a real material culture feel to it. Soft Walls Collective is doing a human glow-in-the-dark weaving with your bodies. So there'll be a huge installation where people will be weaving all night. There's a beautiful installation of cyanotypes of the ocean from an Australian matriarch. It's a mother and two daughters that have made that work, and it's really stunning. Another really beautiful work called Blue Girl, which is by Raw, and she's looking at complex issues around women and self-emulation. We also have a really great work by Brooke Andrews, who's really interested in this kind of way that land breathes and moves and is mapped out. So lots of really great work up there.
But what is it about Nuit Blanche and how immersed it is throughout the city and how experiential it is that makes it a little more special?
I think for Nuit Blanche, one, it's free and open to the public, and we get over 1 million people that come out, and that's exciting because that means it's a transformation of public space. And so, you know, we're used to walking around, hearing all the noises, going through the city in a very specific way. And the night of Nuit Blanche, we transform spaces that we would never think that art should be. And I think that that's one of the most incredible opportunities that Nuit has to offer.
Finally tonight, the world's first ever cloned Arctic wolf made its public debut in northeast China this week. It was born in a lab in Beijing in June. Maya was derived from the skin cell of an Arctic wolf that originally hailed from Canada. The new pup was born to a surrogate beagle mother, and the two are now living together in a polar amusement park. People there wanted to replicate Maya's biological mother because they had, quote, deep feelings for the aging canine. And that is our show for you tonight and for the week. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. And we'll leave you now with a look at some of the celebrations across Canada today for the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Good night.